What was the scariest encounter you have ever had? I was walking home from the bus that dropped kids off after drama or sports at the nearby elementary school. This was 7th grade and I was listening to the live recording of Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult on my MP3 player. So my neighborhood is quiet, mostly filled with retired folk, and we all have large yards. I had walked that road home many times and my house was right in sight when this occurred. A green Subaru Outback stopped next to me and I almost didn't notice until the door flew open and a slightly obese woman sprung from the car. She latched onto my arm and tried her best to yank me into the car with her. To her dismay, I was a ranked martial artist and kicked that bimbo in the face. When she let go, I bolted the opposite direction of my house. I didn't want her to know where I lived. No one was home at my house and I knew that. I took out my cell phone, but it was one of those dingy track phones and was dead. So I spent the next half hour or so ducking behind houses and making my way around the other way back to my house. The car would occasionally drive slowly by, looking for me. Needless to say, I can't really listen to that song anymore. When I was maybe 7 or 8, I lived in Compton, California. We had a small garage that was at the end of a closed alleyway. My cousins, brother and I would go out and play soccer or ride bikes down the alley when we could, which were kept inside our tiny garage. One day, we went to get the bikes out of the garage and a black SUV that looked like an Explorer suddenly sped down the alley and skidded to a stop in front of our open garage, in what I think was an attempt at blocking our view of what happened next. They threw a bald guy out of the car, and 5 more bald Latino men in white t-shirts and jeans or jean shorts came out and started beating and kicking the guy on the floor. One guy stood guard in front of the SUV while this was going on, failing to notice us. I told my younger cousins and brother to run inside as I shut the garage door, using a tight string, and took off running into our apartment complex. They were single floor, all in lines and gated, to hide. The guy standing guard saw us when we took off, but no one followed us as far as I know. One of the scariest things I've ever seen as a kid. One time my friend and I were walking along a road which was pretty wooded on both sides. It's a semi-busy road. About half a mile away from the store, this minivan pulls up next to us with the doors open and an older man in his 40s or 50s starts screaming at us to get in. He keeps yelling and I start running the opposite way the car was facing. My friend was scared and almost got in, but luckily another car started coming and he drove off. Absolutely terrifying. When I was 17, me and my 2 neighbors were playing basketball in the alley behind my house. A van with 8 guys pulled up and started the process of trying to figure out our gang associations, basically asking what you be about? And such. It was in Chicago during the 90s, so even though we weren't in a gang, we knew these guys weren't going to believe us and our eventual ass whooping was about to begin. Just as my heart was about to bust out of my throat, one of the guys in the van recognized one of my neighbors. They were schoolmates. Mutual greetings occurred and the situation was diffused. His friend also confirmed that the ass whooping was indeed about to commence. We all laughed, ha ha, and they drove off. It took a few minutes for my butthole to unpucker. I went to a pond with 2 friends of mine after dark. The pond is about 200 feet off of a main road, and you have to walk down a gravel driveway to get to it. Important detail, there are no houses neighboring the pond. Anyways, we are standing at the dock in total darkness and we hear a small splash in the water. Small enough that I thought it was a fish jumping out of the water. A few seconds go by, and a louder splash takes place closer to us. At this point we thought someone had thrown a rock. Hello? I called out into the dark, only to get no answer. We are trying to scan the sides of the pond to see if anyone is there, but it was too dark. Suddenly, a huge splash came right near us, clear that someone had just hurled a rock into the water about 10 feet in front of us. It was easy to tell that this was a 10+ pounds rock. I yelled, "Okay, we are leaving." Into the dark, and we hightailed it out of there. It was really weird and I never went back at night. Weirdest part of this is that the only clear space to stand is on the docks or on a small area of grass immediately to our left, which means someone was hiding in a bunch of tall reeds being creepy with us. When I was 17, I was robbed at gunpoint while walking home from work. I took a shortcut through an alley where only a couple houses were occupied and a couple dickheads saw an opportunity. Since they didn't plan it, they didn't have masks. They were talking about killing me and leaving me in an empty garage. They decided it wasn't worth it and let me go. As far as I know, they were never caught. When I was 5, I was outside with my mother while she was gardening. Out of nowhere a strange car pulls up and walks up towards her. She was already suspicious cause he was driving up and down the street looking over at us. Once he started walking towards us, my mom put me inside. The only thing the man kept saying to her was, "Where's your son? Go get your son," he kept asking her until he gets fed up and smacks her and leaves. I didn't understand at the time, but as I got older the reality of the situation hit me.